long hair, long wool dresses, and the social norm that you should keep your mouth shut. These ideas don't really mesh with how we should treat the fairer sex, but up until the 1920s, these were the norms of American society. So how did we flip the switch to where women have much more freedom? Find out today on Thanks for checking in with Learning with Sprayberry, where we make social studies fun, easy, and most importantly educational. If you're new here and you love learning about U.S. history, social studies, or random facts about our country, why don't you sneak on over to that subscribe button so you don't miss anything? I'll wait. Well, today we're focusing on women's rights and how they changed in the early 20th century. I'm going to take you through these societal changes with 3 stops: causes, changes, and consequences. So let's get all aboard the Learning Express. Next stop, causes. To be perfectly honest, women had pretty much maintained the same role in America for quite some time. They were usually relegated to the home, ensuring that the day-to-day running of the home was maintained. They had kids, cooked, cleaned, ran the farm, and generally stayed out of the way. There are quite a few notable exceptions, one of them being the Edenton Tea Party, where 80+ women signed a pledge to boycott British products prior to the American Revolution. For more information, check out my video on that. But for the most part, women were relegated to support status. World War I put quite a change out there for women. With the surge of troops needed to continue the war, many businesses lost their workforce and would have had to shut down if it were not for one group: women. As men traveled off to live up the romanticisms of war, women were left at home to pick up the slack. Women began occupying positions that were, until recently, reserved for men. They were police officers, train conductors, elevator operators, firemen. Women. Fire people? Anyway, this newfound responsibility showed the world what women were truly capable of. Then the war ended. Men came home and told the women, "Thanks for your help. Now get out." It is true that some women were more than happy to get back to their matriarchal lives, but many felt slighted. After all, they had busted tail to make products and to support the war effort, and now they're told,
"Get back in the kitchen."
I don't think so. Women began to push for changes they felt would better represent what they were actually capable of. Many women, after being pushed out of the workforce, began donating their time to social causes, such as like the temperance movement and women's suffrage. After all, they had proved that they were just as well suited to working as any man, so why couldn't they make decisions like a man? Suffrage was eventually granted, regardless of gender, in 1920 with the passage of the 19th Amendment. So you see, their push and working towards social efforts does make a change. These new social pushes weren't just represented in politics, however. Women pushed for social acceptance to do just what men did. Young women began smoking and drinking just as much as any man. This was seen as an affront to the delicate nature that women represented. The economic boom of the 1920s also pushed women to the forefront of consumerism. Their purchasing power was a prized possession as far as any businesses were concerned. Manufacturers began to push the freedoms that can be gained by purchasing the newest in-home accessory. Electric irons, lights, and hair dryers were all advertised as tools to make the modern woman take advantage of her new freedom. It is a little ironic that all these products that were pushed for women's freedom were actually also designed to keep them in the home, but I guess GE can't push the limits too much. An oddly connected element of flapper culture was the emergence of cars. If you think about it, a car makes the perfect vehicle for change. Cars allowed young women to sneak out of sight of their oppressive and observant parents to do the things they wanted to do. Some people began to refer to cars as bedrooms on wheels. Since I teach middle school social studies, that's as close to that subject as I want to get. I'll let you figure out the rest on your own. Fashion also begins to demonstrate the changes of women. Women had seen the fragile nature of life and the fact that men were dying by the thousands in the war and the subsequent flu. Inspired or worried by the short nature of life, women began to see life as something that was meant to be lived and experienced. Women began to cut their hair shorter in a bob style as well as wear shorter clothing. In a time where showing your ankle could get you labeled as a woman with loose morals, skirts that showed a whole calf and knee, that's enough to get you labeled with a really rough nickname. To make matters even worse, at least in the eyes of conservative Americans, women began to wear makeup. To be honest though, it still wouldn't even come close to touching the amount that's worn by some YouTubers doing makeup tutorials and spackling and... Anyway, these women were given the nickname flappers. The origin of the word is up to debate, but it's generally accepted to be a term referring to young women in general. But it pops into common usage thanks to a film from the 1920s called The Flapper. Eventually, this image of women pushing boundaries became more widely accepted and wasn't seen as so edgy. Or maybe the Great Depression ended the desire to push the limits. It's hard to want to go out and party the night away as one of the guys when neither you or any of the guys has eaten in a few days. It's easy to dismiss much of the flapper image as simply that, a superficial change in clothing designed to break down the conservative view of women. But in reality, flapper culture and the changes in societal norms surrounding women offered many opportunities. By 1920, women had achieved the right to vote and demonstrated their usefulness in the workforce. Careers and jobs became more available and open for women. Cultural norms surrounding women's dress began to change. The Great Depression may have ended the party, but the changes stuck. Let's drop down to question of the day and see what you all think. What are some flapper-esque changes that you've seen in society today? There've got to be a few things that you see and just know are going to be major changes for the future. Let me know down in the comments below. My way of saying thanks to my subscribers is to feature a subscriber of the week each video. This week I want to thank K07KHY0081. That's a mouthful. But thanks for watching nonetheless. If you want to be featured at the end of a video, all you've got to do is be subscribed on any of my social platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me on there at Sprayberry Teaches. As always, thanks for watching Learning with Sprayberry, where we do our best to make social studies fun, easy, and educational. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.